Let him rot alone on his birthday. He's a joke. My mom spat to the family group chat. Then starve without my support, I said while freezing their accounts, canceling the mortgage, and cutting every tie. My name is Ryan and I'm 31. This happened just a few months ago. But honestly, it still feels fresh, like it just happened. I guess when someone hurts you that badly, the time doesn't matter. The feeling sticks with you. As a kid, I was always the dependable one, the kind who made sure birthday presents were bought, who double-checked trip plans, and who paid the bill when someone forgot to bring money. Maybe it was because I was the oldest. Or maybe it was just part of who I was. Either way, at some point, it became the normal thing, and I didn't complain, at least not in the beginning. I like seeing my family smile. I like being helpful. But over time, I saw that being the responsible one didn't mean being valued. It meant being taken advantage of. My 31st birthday was coming up. Not a huge age, but to me, it still meant something. It felt like a small checkpoint before hitting 30. That year had been especially hard. I lost my job, picked up freelance work just to get by, and even helped my parents with their house payments when my dad's job hours were reduced. All I really wanted was just one evening to be Ryan. Not the backup plan, not the problem solver, not the one fixing everything, just me. So, I planned something nice, not fancy, not over the top. I reserved a warm, quiet, private room at this little Italian restaurant I liked. I paid the deposit myself, chose a fixed menu so nobody had to worry about cost, and even went a step further. I got everyone small personalized gifts, things that meant something to each of them, like a custom bowling pin keychain for my brother Ethan because we spent a lot of time bowling as kids, a charm bracelet for my mom, just like the one she lost years ago, and a vintage record for my dad that reminded me of the music he used to play on Sundays. I wanted it to feel like a celebration and a thank you. I sent the invites a month ahead, group text, calendar alerts. I followed up the week before to make sure everyone knew where to go and what time. People replied with thumbs ups, hearts, even can't wait messages. Looking back, I should have seen the signs. The day arrived, I felt nervous, but also excited. I got to the restaurant early, helped the staff set up the gifts on each seat, and checked everything one last time. The manager smiled and said, "Your family's lucky to have you." I just laughed, feeling a small bit of hope. I told myself, maybe this time it would be different. Maybe this time they'd come through. 7 o'clock rolled around. I looked at my phone. No messages, no missed calls. I figured they were just late. My family's always late. 7:30 came. Still no one. I joked with the waiter about traffic. By 8 o'clock, the sinking feeling in my stomach got worse. I stared at the empty chairs, at the unopened gifts in front of spotless plates. At 8:15, the manager walked over gently and said, "Sir, would you like to order? The kitchen's closing soon." I nodded quietly, thanked her, and tried not to show how embarrassed I felt. I packed up the gifts, left a big tip to thank the staff, and walked out into the cool night. I sat in my car for a long time just looking at the steering wheel. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat there frozen until my phone buzzed. For a second, my heart jumped. Maybe it was them. Maybe they were sorry. Maybe there was a mix-up or something bad had happened. Nope, it was worse. Ethan had posted pictures. Him, my parents, some cousins all smiling at a bowling alley across town. The caption said, "Family night." No mention of my birthday. No joke, no explanation, just nothing. Like I wasn't even there. Like I didn't exist. My stomach tightened so badly I thought I might throw up. I scrolled through the pictures, barely able to think. There was Ethan mid-throw with a bowling ball, laughing with his arm around our cousin Tyler. My mom was smiling, holding up peace signs while holding a sparkly pink bowling ball. My dad looked red in the face and happy while standing at the snack counter. Like they hadn't told me they'd be there for me tonight. Like they hadn't confirmed they were coming. Hadn't talked about how important they wanted the night to be. I sat there for a while just staring at my phone. The colorful lights from the screen bouncing off the glass. Then, almost like I wasn't fully there, I started going over it all. How many times I paid my parents' electric bills. How often I slipped Ethan some money when he said he was struggling. How many times I drove far just to help with moving, fixing something, or watching someone's dog last minute, and how quickly they forgot me once I wasn't doing things for them. I didn't yell. I didn't hit the steering wheel. I didn't write out a long message asking why. Instead, I opened my bank app. I moved some funds, turned off some automatic payments, and stopped a few transfers. Then, after everything was updated and settled, I opened our family group chat. I stared at the screen for a bit, not typing. Then I finally wrote, "Good luck paying your bills without me." I hit send. I watched each name show a checkmark as they got the message. Then I locked my phone and drove home quietly. The next morning, the messages started showing up. At first, they were jokes. My brother sent laughing emojis. My mom asked if I was still upset over what she called a small mix-up. My dad even sent a picture of his bowling trophy and wrote, "Winner circle." Like nothing had happened. But by lunchtime, the tone had changed. "Ryan, can we talk for real? Can you turn the transfer back on? It's just a right. Hey, Mom's losing it. Please call, man. The mortgage didn't go through. What's going on, Ryan? Seriously, don't act like this." The messages kept coming, begging, trying to sound sorry, but it felt more like panic than truth. My phone kept buzzing non-stop, shaking on the counter like it was alive. I didn't answer. I didn't open anything. After a while, I just sat back sipping my coffee and watching the first snowflakes fall outside the window. I didn't feel proud or smug. I felt drained. So completely drained. And somewhere deep inside, I heard a small calm thought. Maybe I don't need to keep burning myself just to keep everyone else warm. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. When you stop being the person everyone relies on without question, they don't just get scared, they lose control. And in my family's case, they started messing up badly. The next day, around 9 a.m., my mom's number showed up on my screen. I didn't answer. 10 seconds later, my dad called, declined. Then it was Ethan, then Tyler, then my aunt. One after another, like machine gun fire, trying to get through. For the first time ever, I didn't feel bad about ignoring them. I felt peaceful. Every buzz reminded me they were now feeling even a tiny bit of what they made me feel the night before. By noon, the group chat blew up. Screenshots of their bank accounts, late fees, warning emails from mortgage companies. My dad's car payment failed. My mom's power bill was flagged, and Ethan apparently tried to buy something at Best Buy, but got embarrassed when his card didn't work. It was like watching a row of dominoes fall. One, then the next, then the next. At 2 p.m., my mom sent a message that might have made me laugh if I hadn't felt so numb. "Ryan, this is getting ridiculous. Stop being immature. Families forgive. Fix this. Families forgive, right? Unless it's my birthday, I guess. Then families go bowling like nothing happened." I didn't say anything back. I just hit mute. The truth is, they had no idea how deep this really went. Over the years, mostly out of convenience and, to be honest, poor judgment, I slowly tied myself into every part of their financial lives. I became the backup contact on my parents' mortgage because my credit score was stronger. I signed on as a backup for Ethan's car loan because he was trying to recover from a failed business. I even set up automatic payments for small things. My mom's phone plan, my dad's gym subscription, and the streaming services they all enjoyed because they kept forgetting to pay and racking up late fees. They never realized that most of those payments were being withdrawn from my account. They were like people living in a house supported by hidden beams. They didn't notice until those beams were taken away. The next morning, I didn't hear from them, but I did start getting emails from the companies. Cancellation alerts, overdue warnings. I sat there drinking coffee, deleting each message as it came in. By day 3, the voicemails took a serious turn. No more teasing. No more guilt-tripping messages about families sticking together. Now it was panic. "Ryan, please just call me back. We didn't mean to hurt you, son. Your mom's crying. She hasn't slept. Can't you just forgive us? We're your family, bro. Look, we screwed up, but don't do this. You know the house could be taken if those payments stop. Please, man. Please." And for the first time in my life, it hit me. Something I think I'd been ignoring for a long time. They didn't really love me. They loved what I did for them. They loved feeling secure, knowing I'd catch the fallout. They loved that I made their problems go away. Even ones they didn't bother trying to fix. I wasn't a son or a brother or a cousin. I was a safety net. And now they were falling with no one left to catch them. By the end of that week, my aunt, the one who always tried to play peacemaker, messaged me directly. It was a long, messy text about how holding on to anger isn't healthy and how real family sticks together during tough times. She ended it with, "You're punishing everyone over one little misunderstanding. Time to grow up, Ryan." One little misunderstanding. Is that what they call planning an entire birthday night, paying for everything, being excited like an idiot, only to sit alone for hours while your family laughed, bowled, and acted like you didn't even exist? That's not a small issue. That's not something tiny. And something in me, a part that had been worn down for years, finally clicked. I knew right then they were never going to apologize. Not really. They'd only offer excuses, guilt, manipulation, requests dressed up as love or healing or family values. I didn't say a word. I stayed silent. That Friday night, I went out alone for the first time in years. I wandered into a quiet bookstore, picked up a new novel, grabbed a latte from a small cafe, and sat on a bench downtown reading under the streetlights. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't loud, but it was calm. For once, I wasn't checking messages. I wasn't worrying who needed help or which bill I had to cover. I was just me. Back at my parents' house, meanwhile, things were falling apart. The mortgage company had called directly, demanding the overdue payment. My dad tried to bluff his way through it, but once they checked the numbers and saw the automatic payments were gone, they didn't care. Ethan's car was officially marked for repossession. My mom's utilities were set to be cut off Monday morning if no payment arrived. And worst of all, they still hadn't told the rest of the extended family what was going on. Too proud, too embarrassed. So, from the outside, everything looked fine until it didn't. Saturday morning, I got a text from my cousin Olivia, one of the few people in my family I actually like. She hadn't been at the bowling disaster, but she must have picked up on something. "Hey Ryan, I'm not sure what's going on, but just so you know, I'm here if you need anything. You didn't deserve whatever they did." That message nearly broke me almost. But I knew I had to keep going because what came next? Let's just say things were about to get a whole lot worse for them. Sunday morning, I woke up to someone knocking at the door. Not a message, not a call, an actual knock. It was loud, steady, and filled with urgency. For a moment, I thought about staying in bed, pulling the blanket over my head, and letting whoever it was keep banging until they got tired. But my curiosity took over. I got up, walked over to the window, and peeked through the blinds. It was my dad. He didn't seem angry. He looked worn out, small, his shoulders were slouched, his hands shoved deep into the pockets of an old faded jacket. He rocked back and forth on his feet like a kid caught sneaking out late. I didn't hurry to open the door. I let him wait the same way I had waited alone in that restaurant, sitting at a table meant for people who never showed. At last, I opened the door just a crack, only enough to see his face without welcoming him inside. "Ryan," he said softly, his voice shaky, "can we talk?" I leaned on the doorframe. "Talk about what?" He flinched slightly, but forced a weak smile. "About the family, about making things right." I stared at him. This was the man who didn't even send me a simple birthday message. Now standing at my doorstep because the money was gone, the mortgage company was calling, and his carefully held-together setup was crashing around him. It was funny how family only mattered when they needed someone to fix things. "I don't think there's anything left to fix," I said in a calm tone. He blinked, caught off guard, his mouth opened as if to say something, then closed again. Finally, he managed. "We made a mistake. We know your mom's been sick with guilt. Ethan, too. No one meant to hurt you. They thought it would be fun. Bowl first, surprise you later. It just spiraled." I raised one eyebrow. "You thought leaving me alone for 2 hours was a surprise?" His face dropped and he looked away in shame. "We really screwed up," he said, voice cracking. "But you're punishing all of us." There it was again, as if I had started this. For a moment, I considered slamming the door right there. But another idea formed. Sharper, colder. "All right," I said slowly. "You want to talk about making things right? Fine." His face lit up a little. He looked hopeful. "Start by saying it out loud," I said. "All of you right now, use me." He pulled back. "Ryan, that's harsh." "No," I snapped. "Say the truth. No avoiding it. No twisting things to make me feel guilty. Just the plain truth." He shifted on his feet, clearly uncomfortable. I said nothing. I wasn't going to help him out. After a long silence, he finally said in a low voice, "We leaned on you too much." I shook my head. "That's not it. Say it clearly." His jaw tightened. His hands were clenched in the pockets of his coat. For a second, I thought he was going to walk away, but then slowly he swallowed hard and pushed out the words. "We used you, Ryan. We didn't appreciate you." I nodded cold and emotionless. "Good. That's step one." He looked tired but relieved. "So, you'll help?" I gave him a tight, forced smile. "Oh no. I'm not helping. Step one was admitting the truth. Step two is learning how to live with it." Then I shut the door slowly and firmly right in his shocked face. No shouting, no harsh goodbye. Just done. The moment the lock clicked into place, I felt something heavy lift off my shoulders. Something I didn't even realize I had been carrying all these years. I leaned my forehead against the door, took a deep, shaky breath, and just stood there. For the first time in what felt like forever, I was free. But it wasn't over. Monday came with a problem they didn't think about. My name wasn't just on the bills. It was tied to everything. That mortgage, I was the co-signer. Those loan companies, they had my number on file. And without me stepping in, without me blocking the notices or smoothing things over, everything hit them directly, fast and hard. By Tuesday, my mom's power was shut off. By Wednesday, Ethan's car got taken from right in front of the house for everyone in the neighborhood to see. By Thursday, my parents' bank officially began the legal process to take back the house. The strangely satisfying part was that since they had leaned on me for so long, they didn't even know where to begin fixing the mess. They had no clue how to set up payment plans, ask for more time, or apply for help. Those were all things I had quietly taken care of for years while they acted like everything worked on its own. I watched the disaster from afar with Olivia updating me through hushed phone calls and felt nothing, not guilt, not doubt, just a calm, steady feeling that this was fair. They had options. They could have treated me like a real part of the family, not like a human emergency button. They made their decisions, and now they had to deal with the outcome. On Friday night, I received one final voicemail from Ethan. His voice was rough and panicked. "Ryan, please, man. They're saying we might lose the house. Mom's not well. Dad's drinking again. Everything's falling apart. You've made your point. Okay, we're sorry. Just call me back. I'll do anything. Anything." It was almost amusing how fast they went from calling me dramatic to begging for anything, but it didn't matter anymore. I had already made my peace with them, with the situation. They chose to ignore me on a night that meant everything to me. Now they would understand how it felt to be ignored. And as for me, I had a new future to work toward. A life where I wasn't only valuable for what I gave away. Where my birthday didn't come with hidden rules. Where family wasn't a word people threw at me only when they needed help. That night, as the first true snow of winter fell softly outside, I sat by the window with tea in my hand, just watching. The world was still covered in white, and for the first time in years, the quiet didn't feel cold. It felt peaceful. The weeks after Ethan's voicemail passed by, part of me wondered if they'd show up at my place or even at my job. That would have been typical. Making a scene, pretending to be hurt, throwing around guilt just long enough to get what they wanted. But they didn't come. Instead, everything stayed silent. The kind of silence that feels heavy, ready to break. Olivia gave me updates in pieces, just enough to understand everything. Without me there to hold things together, the house slipped away quicker than they could react. The official notice was posted right on their door, bright yellow, impossible to miss. Neighbors started whispering. People from church stopped checking in. Even cousins and relatives, the ones who used to nod along, while my parents bragged about how united we were, began stepping back once they saw the truth. And things were falling apart everywhere. Mom managed to get the power back on for a short time. She'd begged some family for emergency money, but it wasn't enough. She was listing furniture online and selling pieces just to keep the lights running. Dad tried picking up more shifts at work, but it was already too late. His reputation, once solid, was breaking. When people heard about the foreclosure, they didn't want to hire someone who couldn't handle his own home. His boss cut his hours even more. Ethan spiraled. Without his car, he lost the jobs he was using to survive. He stayed on people's couches for a while, then moved back into the falling-apart house with our parents. All of them stuck together, sinking slowly. It would have been easy to feel sorry for them, but I couldn't. Not with the memory burned in my head of sitting at that restaurant table alone, staring at untouched food and gifts I had chosen with care for people who decided I didn't matter. I went back to therapy, a different therapist this time, someone who worked with people dealing with family stress and learning how to set limits. She helped me see everything more clearly. The years of quiet pressure, the unspoken rules I followed out of guilt and fear of being left behind. She helped me understand that walking away wasn't selfish, it was survival. Bit by bit, I started building something better. I left the small apartment where I had spent countless nights waiting for those emergency calls from them. I found a new home near the edge of the city, a simple condo with big windows that looked out over a park. I started saying no. No long explanations, no guilt. No to work shifts I didn't want. No to friends who only called when they needed help. No to the old patterns that kept me feeling small. My next birthday passed quietly. No big celebration. No fancy dinner. I spent the day hiking through the woods with Olivia, one of the few people who had supported me without asking for anything. And a few new friends I had met through a local book club at the top of a hill where we could see miles of trees glowing gold under the setting sun. Olivia handed me a small present. It was just a notebook with a leather cover. On the first page she had written, "You deserved better. You still do. Here's to writing your own story now." I laughed. I cried a little too, but not the kind of crying that leaves you empty. It felt like a release, like the rain that comes after a long dry season. The final moment that closed the door of my old life came 6 months after that terrible birthday. I was at work when my phone buzzed with an email alert. It was from the mortgage company. At first, I almost didn't open it. I had taught myself to stop caring, but curiosity pulled at me. I tapped it open. The house had been sold at auction. A young couple had bought it. They planned to tear everything down and start fresh. My parents had moved into a small rental place far from the center of town. No front porch swing, no backyard cookouts, no big family gatherings, just a 2-bedroom unit with old floors and busted window blinds. Ethan, from what I heard, was working night shifts at a gas station, barely scraping by. No car, no credit, no backup plan. I should have felt proud, maybe even satisfied, but I didn't. Their downfall didn't feel like a win. It wasn't something I wanted to frame or remember with pride. It was a reminder of the price you pay when you let others treat you like you don't matter. And a quiet promise to myself, I would never let that happen again. Around a year after everything fell apart, I got one last message from my mom. It was an email with no subject line. Inside, just a few short lines. "We know we hurt you. We're sorry. We lost everything and we lost you. We understand if you never want to speak to us again, but if you ever do, the door's open." No guilt, no begging, no games, just truth. It should have felt like a full circle moment, but it didn't. I didn't write back. Not because I was angry and not because I wanted to hurt them. I didn't respond because that chapter was finished. Some things once shattered don't fit back together. Some bridges once burned aren't supposed to be rebuilt. And sometimes moving forward means accepting that the apology you needed years ago and the love you always wished for may never arrive the way you imagined. And that's okay because you go on. You find new hopes. You find a new kind of family. The kind you create for yourself, not the kind you were born into. You find places where you're welcome for who you are, not what you can offer. You celebrate birthdays that are quiet but honest. You discover peace. The kind that doesn't ask you to give up parts of yourself just to keep it. Today, when I remember that empty table in the restaurant, It doesn't hurt like it used to. Now it feels like a turning point, a moment where yes, I sat alone, but also where I chose myself for the first time. And honestly, that's something worth celebrating, not only on my birthday, but every single day of my life.